He had a laundry right across the street. He came here in, well, he made his way to the United States in the late 1800s and came here in 1884 and opened a laundry. And it was across the street from here. He was friends with George Dayton, and he stayed here the rest of his life all by himself, and died in November 1956 and is buried out at St. Mary's Cemetery. I can't imagine he was Catholic, but they say Father Hale was the priest, would have been the priest at that time, probably just said, oh, Charlie doesn't have a burial plot, but we'll just put him out at St. Mary's. Some great stories about Charlie, but I just think it's such a cool thing, especially considering Worthington's immigrant population now, to think that this man came here. He came over with his brothers from Hong Kong, we believe. Stillwater for a short time, but somehow he made his way to Worthington and then kind of never left. This was his laundry, was right across the street here. So this would be Carl's down here. Okay. And this was Charlie right here. This was his store. And this would be the back of Forbidden Barrel. And the army would be over here. Tales have been told about him. He was quite the interesting man. Evidently he got in a fight with, not a fight, some sort of a tiff with some former constable from Bigelow. And the guy waited outside. Charlie went into a local business to pick up his supper. And the guy waited outside on the boardwalk or whatever, outside the store. And when Charlie came out, this man spit tobacco juice on Charlie. And nobody seems to know what the tiff was about. But anyway, so, and Charlie pressed charges and won. So you got to think about what it would have taken for an immigrant. Let's see, 1896, he came in 84, so he'd been here a number of years. But you know, for somebody, you know, that was a different nationality, that was probably a little more foreign than a lot of other people in town, for him to turn around and press charges against a former constable and win. And he got cost amount is $26.25. which today would be about $886 was his judgment. So
well, that's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah, I think he carried this in his wallet. This is Chinese characters over the top of the story that was in the paper, or it was on. This was on the back of the story that was in the paper. We took it over to Panda House just to see whether anybody could read Chinese over there, and they said this is old Chinese. This is not what they're used to reading, but they could see that it said something about something in the newspaper. They could figure that out. So we think that he'd just written on the back, this was the story of when I was in the newspaper or whatever, and that's what he'd written on the back of it. The Nobles County Historical Society went to interview him when he was at Cashels, when he was living at the nursing home, which is a Dayton house now, of course. And they tried to record him to get his memories, because he was like the last pioneer businessman still left. And they could not get a audible recording because of his thick accent. Sure. And so finally he just got frustrated and said, forget it, and said, here, just take my sign. You can have that for your museum. So
that's how you ended up with it.
That's how we ended up with it.
To see the Charlie Wan exhibit and others, visit the Nobles County Historical Society in the Armory Building in downtown Worthington.